What makes someone truly attractive in a world full of noise and chaos? It's not just about looks or charm, it's something deeper, something timeless. Think about the people who seem to effortlessly draw others in, not because they're trying too hard, but because they radiate a quiet, unshakable calm. That's the kind of attraction we're talking about today. And it's rooted in something ancient yet profoundly relevant: Stoic calm. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. That inner tranquility, that ability to remain centered no matter what's happening around you, is the foundation of effortless attraction. It's not about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about mastering your emotions, staying present, and cultivating a resilience that makes you magnetic. In this video, we'll explore how Stoic principles like presence, emotional mastery, and resilience can transform the way you show up in the world, not just to others, but to yourself. You'll walk away with practical insights on how to embody this calm, grounded energy that naturally draws people in, because when you're at peace within yourself, it's impossible not to be effortlessly attractive. Let's dive in. Presence is the foundation of attraction. It's not just about being physically there, it's about being fully engaged, grounded, and attentive in the moment. This is where Stoic calm becomes your greatest ally. The Stoics understood the power of mindfulness long before it became a modern buzzword. They believed that true strength lies in focusing on what's within your control and letting go of what isn't. As Epictetus famously said, "Some things are in our control and others are not." By anchoring yourself in the present, you free your mind from the chaos of distractions and create a sense of calm that others can't help but notice. Think about it. How often are you truly present in your daily interactions? In a world filled with constant notifications, endless to-do lists, and the pull of social media, it's easy to drift into autopilot. But when you cultivate Stoic calm, you train yourself to stay rooted in the here and now. This isn't just about self-improvement, it's about building a magnetic presence that draws people in. When you're fully present in a conversation, you listen deeply, respond thoughtfully, and make the other person feel truly seen. That kind of engagement is irresistible. Here's a simple example. Imagine you're at a networking event and someone is sharing a story. Instead of half listening while scanning the room for someone more important, you give them your full attention. You're not thinking about what you'll say next or checking your phone. You're just there, fully immersed in the moment. That level of focus doesn't just make you more engaging, it creates a connection that leaves a lasting impression. So take a moment to reflect. How often do you find your mind wandering when you're with others? How might your relationships change if you brought more presence to every interaction? The Stoic practice of mindfulness isn't just about inner peace, it's about creating a presence so grounded and calm that others are naturally drawn to you. And that's where true attractiveness begins. Why do people gravitate toward those who remain calm under pressure? It's because emotional stability is magnetic. When someone can stand firm in the face of chaos, it signals strength, reliability, and a deep sense of self-control, qualities that naturally draw others in. This is where Stoicism shines. At its core, Stoic philosophy teaches us to separate our emotions from external events. As Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." In other words, our reactions to life's challenges are often more disruptive than the challenges themselves. By mastering our emotions, we can respond to the world with clarity and poise, rather than being tossed around by every wave of circumstance. Think about how this plays out in everyday life. Imagine someone criticizes you at work or in a social setting. The natural reaction might be to feel defensive, angry, or even embarrassed. But what if instead you paused, took a breath, and chose to see the criticism as feedback rather than an attack? This kind of graceful handling doesn't just diffuse tension, it commands respect. People notice when you don't crumble under pressure or lash out in frustration. They see someone who's grounded, who can navigate life's storms without losing their footing. That's the kind of presence people are drawn to. Now, take a moment to reflect. How do you typically react when faced with emotional triggers? Do you feel overwhelmed, or do you find a way to stay centered? The beauty of Stoicism is that it gives us tools to practice this kind of emotional mastery. It's not about suppressing emotions, but about understanding them so they no longer control us. When we achieve this, we don't just become more attractive to others, we also create a deeper sense of inner peace for ourselves. And that, more than anything, is where true confidence begins. Detachment is not indifference, it's freedom. At its core, Stoic detachment is about releasing your grip on outcomes, not because you don't care, but because you understand that some things are simply beyond your control. Imagine this: you've prepared meticulously for a job interview, polished your answers, and walked in with confidence, but the decision, that's not yours to make. The Stoics would tell you that your power lies in the effort you put in, not the result that follows. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. It's a reminder that while you can't control the world, you can control how you respond to it. Think about someone you admire who seems unshaken by life's ups and downs. Maybe it's a friend who remains calm when plans fall apart, or a colleague who handles criticism with grace. Their secret: detachment. They focus on what they can do, show up, give their best, and adapt, rather than obsessing over what they can't control. This mindset doesn't just make them resilient, it radiates a quiet confidence that others notice and respect. Now, take a moment to reflect. How do you react when things don't go your way? Do you feel frustrated, anxious, or even defeated? Or do you step back, assess what's within your control, and let go of the rest? The Stoic practice of detachment isn't about giving up, it's about freeing yourself from the weight of expectations and finding peace in the process. When you shift your focus from results to effort, you cultivate a sense of calm that's not only attractive but deeply empowering. Life is unpredictable, but your response doesn't have to be. Think about it: how often do we let the chaos of the world dictate our mood, our energy, or even our sense of self? Stoicism offers a different way. It teaches us that resilience isn't about brute force or loud displays of strength. It's about quiet, steadfast endurance. It's about facing challenges with a calm that radiates confidence and composure. And here's the thing: that kind of resilience is magnetic. People are drawn to those who can weather storms without losing their footing. The Stoics saw adversity not as something to avoid, but as an opportunity for growth. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it perfectly: the obstacle is the way. What he meant was that every challenge, every setback, is a chance to practice virtue, to refine our character, and to emerge stronger. When you embrace this mindset, you stop seeing problems as roadblocks and start seeing them as stepping stones. And that shift from resistance to acceptance is incredibly attractive. It shows you're someone who doesn't just survive but thrives under pressure. Take Marcus Aurelius, for example. As Roman emperor, he faced relentless challenges: wars, political intrigue, even a devastating plague. Yet he didn't crumble under the weight of it all. Instead, he used Stoic principles to guide his actions, writing in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That kind of inner fortitude didn't just help him lead an empire. It made him a figure of quiet, enduring strength that people admired then and still admire today. So here's a question for you: how do you approach challenges in your own life? Do you see them as battles to be fought or as opportunities to grow? The way you respond to adversity says a lot about who you are, and it's something others notice even if you don't realize it. Resilience isn't just about enduring, it's about transforming the way you see the world and, in turn, the way the world sees you. What's more appealing than someone who doesn't need to prove themselves? This is where Stoic humility comes into play, a quiet strength that radiates authenticity and draws people in. At its core, humility isn't about downplaying your worth or shrinking yourself. It's about recognizing your place in the world, acknowledging that you don't have all the answers, and embracing the idea that growth is a lifelong journey. The Stoics saw humility as a virtue because it keeps us grounded, self-aware, and open to learning. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, warned against arrogance, calling it a trap that blinds us to our flaws and distances us from others. He wrote, "The first step toward greatness is to be honest, not to think more of yourself than you ought, but to see yourself clearly, strengths and all." This self-awareness is magnetic. When you're humble, you don't feel the need to dominate conversations, boast about your achievements, or seek constant validation. Instead, you listen, you connect, you show up as your true self, and that's incredibly attractive. Think about the last time you met someone who genuinely listened to you, who didn't try to one-up your story or steer the conversation back to themselves. How did that feel? Humility has a way of disarming others, creating a space where trust and connection can flourish. For example, imagine a leader who admits when they're wrong instead of doubling down on a bad decision. That kind of humility doesn't weaken their authority, it strengthens it because it shows they value truth over ego. Now, take a moment to reflect on your own interactions. Can you recall a time when humility made a difference, whether in your relationships, at work, or even in a passing conversation? Maybe it was when you apologized sincerely or when you stepped back to let someone else shine. Those small acts of humility have a ripple effect, leaving a lasting impression on those around you. Humility isn't about diminishing yourself, it's about lifting others up while staying true to who you are. And in a world that often rewards loud confidence and self-promotion, this quiet, stoic approach stands out. It's the kind of attractiveness that doesn't fade because it's rooted in something real. True confidence comes from within. It's not something you borrow from the opinions of others or the fleeting highs of external achievements. This is where Stoic self-sufficiency shines. It's about cultivating an unshakable inner foundation that allows you to stand tall, even when the world around you feels chaotic. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's greatest voices, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That strength he speaks of is the kind that radiates calm independence, a magnetism that draws people in because it's rare and deeply attractive. Think about someone you've met who seems effortlessly self-assured. They're not waiting for applause or approval to feel good about themselves. They're grounded, at peace with who they are, and their energy is quietly compelling. That's the power of self-sufficiency. It's not about rejecting relationships or isolating yourself. It's about knowing that your worth isn't tied to what others think of you. When you're not constantly seeking validation, you become free to be your authentic self, and that authenticity is magnetic. Now take a moment to reflect. How much of your sense of self depends on the opinions of others? Do you find yourself looking for likes, praise, or reassurance to feel confident? Stoicism teaches us to turn inward, to find our validation from a place of self-awareness and self-respect. It's not always easy, but it's profoundly liberating. The more you practice this, the more you'll notice how your calm, self-sufficient presence naturally draws people toward you, not because you need them, but because they're inspired by the quiet strength you carry. Fighting reality only leads to frustration. It's like trying to swim against a current, exhausting and ultimately futile. The Stoics understood this deeply. They taught that peace doesn't come from controlling everything around us, but from accepting what we cannot change. Epictetus put it beautifully when he said, "Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control and some things are not." This isn't about giving up or being passive. It's about recognizing where our power truly lies. Think about it. When someone is constantly battling against their circumstances, it shows. Their energy feels scattered, their demeanor tense. But when someone embodies acceptance, there's a calmness about them that's magnetic. They don't waste energy resisting the inevitable. Instead, they adapt and flow with life's challenges. This grace under pressure is what makes them effortlessly attractive. People are drawn to their quiet strength, their ability to stay composed even when things don't go as planned. Take, for example, someone who loses their job unexpectedly. Instead of spiraling into panic or bitterness, they choose to see it as an opportunity for growth. They focus on what they can do, network, learn new skills, explore different paths. This mindset doesn't just help them move forward, it also inspires those around them. Their resilience becomes contagious, their calmness a source of comfort for others. So, what about you? What are you resisting in your own life? Is there a situation, a relationship, or even a personal flaw that you've been fighting against? What might happen if, instead of resisting, you chose to accept it? Not as defeat, but as the first step toward finding peace. When we stop fighting reality, we open the door to a deeper kind of strength, one that radiates outward and draws people in, and that, in itself, is a form of quiet, irresistible power. When was the last time silence spoke louder than words? Think about it. Sometimes the most powerful statements aren't made with a flood of words, but with the deliberate choice to say nothing at all. This is where Stoic silence comes into play. The Stoics believed that speaking less and only when necessary was a mark of wisdom and self-control. Seneca once said, "Speech is the mirror of the soul. As a man speaks, so he is." But he also warned that too much talk can dilute the weight of your words. Silence, on the other hand, can make you more intriguing, more magnetic, because it leaves room for curiosity and respect. Picture this: you're in a heated argument, and instead of escalating with more words, you choose to pause, to step back, and to simply listen. What happens? Often, the tension softens. The other person may even begin to reflect on their own words, simply because you didn't rush to fill the space with noise. Silence can be a tool, not just to avoid conflict, but to command respect. It shows you're in control of your emotions, that you're not easily rattled, and that you value thoughtful communication over impulsive reactions. Now think about your own life. Can you recall a moment when silence worked in your favor? Maybe it was during a difficult conversation at work, or a moment of tension with a friend or partner. Silence isn't about withdrawing or avoiding. It's about choosing your battles wisely and letting your presence speak for itself. The next time you're tempted to fill the air with words, consider the power of saying nothing at all. It might just leave the strongest impression. Gratitude is the secret to a radiant presence. It's not just a fleeting emotion, it's a way of seeing the world, one that the Stoics believed could transform your life and, in turn, how others perceive you. When you focus on what you have rather than what you lack, something profound happens. Your energy shifts, you become lighter, more open, and more magnetic. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." That's the essence of Stoic gratitude, a deep appreciation for the present moment, no matter how simple or ordinary it may seem. Think about the people in your life who seem to carry this kind of energy. They're the ones who make you feel seen, valued, and uplifted. not because they're perfect or have everything figured out, but because they radiate a sense of contentment and appreciation. That's the power of gratitude at work. It doesn't just change how you feel, it changes how you show up in the world and how others respond to you. Take relationships, for example. Imagine someone who constantly complains about what's missing or what's wrong. They might be talented, intelligent, or even physically attractive, but over time, that negativity becomes a barrier. Now picture someone who genuinely appreciates the small joys, the warmth of a smile, the comfort of a shared meal, the beauty of a quiet moment. That person becomes a magnet, drawing others in with their positivity and grounded presence. So here's a thought to carry with you. What if you started each day by listing 3 things you're grateful for? It doesn't have to be grand or life-changing. It could be as simple as a good cup of coffee, a kind word from a friend, or the sunlight streaming through your window. Over time, this practice can rewire your mindset, helping you see abundance where you once saw scarcity. And when you do, others will notice. They'll be drawn to the calm, confident energy you exude, the kind of energy that comes from knowing how to truly appreciate the gift of the present. Why do people trust those who are consistent? It's because consistency is a rare and powerful trait. It signals reliability, depth, and integrity. In a world where so many chase fleeting trends or change their stance with the wind, being consistent stands out. Stoicism teaches us that true strength lies in aligning our actions with our values, no matter the circumstances. As Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." It's a call to live with integrity, to be the same person in private as you are in public, and to stand firm in your principles. Think about someone you admire, someone whose consistency inspires you. Maybe it's a mentor, a friend, or even a historical figure like Marcus Aurelius, who led an empire while staying true to his Stoic principles. Their unwavering character didn't just make them admirable, it made them magnetic. People are naturally drawn to those who are steady, who don't bend under pressure or sway with every opinion. That kind of consistency radiates confidence and trustworthiness, qualities that are inherently attractive. But here's the challenge: how consistent are you in your own life? Do your daily actions reflect your deepest values, or do they shift depending on the situation? Consistency isn't about being rigid or never making mistakes. It's about striving to align your behavior with what you believe is right, even when it's hard. When you commit to this way of living, you become someone others can count on, someone who inspires trust and respect, and that, more than anything, is what makes you truly attractive. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. This idea, often attributed to Leonardo da Vinci, resonates deeply with Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that unnecessary complexity in thought, action, and lifestyle only distracts us from what truly matters. Seneca, one of the most influential Stoic thinkers, put it this way: "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." This statement isn't just about material possessions, it's about the clutter of the mind, the distractions of ambition, and the noise of overthinking. When we simplify, we create space for clarity, focus, and ultimately, a sense of calm that radiates effortlessly. Think about it. How often do we complicate our lives with endless to-do lists, overcommitment, or the constant chase for more? The Stoics teach us to strip away the unnecessary, to focus on what's within our control, and to let go of what isn't. Imagine a life where your decisions are guided by purpose rather than pressure, where your actions are deliberate rather than reactive. This kind of simplicity isn't about scarcity, it's about freedom. It's about creating an environment, both internally and externally, where you can thrive without being weighed down by chaos. Take, for example, the way we approach our daily routines. Many of us feel overwhelmed because we try to do too much, often without a clear sense of why we're doing it. But when we simplify, when we focus on just a few meaningful tasks each day, we not only reduce stress but also increase our ability to be present and effective. It's like clearing out a cluttered room. Suddenly, there's space to breathe, to think, and to act with intention. That's the kind of calm that draws people in, a sense of inner order that's both magnetic and inspiring. So here's a question for you. What's one area of your life that feels unnecessarily complicated? Is it your schedule, your relationships, or maybe even the way you think about success? Take a moment to reflect on where you could simplify. What could you let go of to create more clarity and calm? The beauty of Stoic simplicity is that it's not about losing anything of value, it's about gaining the space to focus on what truly matters. And when you do that, you'll find that your presence becomes more grounded, more confident, and yes, more effortlessly attractive. Patience is a rare but powerful trait, something that can set you apart in a world that often demands instant results. Think about it. How often do you see someone genuinely at ease while waiting without a hint of frustration? Stoicism teaches us to see time not as an enemy but as a neutral force, something that simply is. It's neither good nor bad, it's how we choose to respond to it that defines us. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. This idea is at the heart of Stoic patience. It's not about passively waiting, it's about maintaining your calm and composure, no matter how long the delay. Consider this: when you're stuck in a long line or waiting for an important email, how do you react? Do you fidget, sigh, or let irritation take over? Or do you take a deep breath, focus on what you can control, and let the moment pass without resistance? Stoic patience is about the latter. It's about understanding that some things are beyond your control, and the only thing you truly own is your reaction. This kind of calm endurance isn't just admirable, it's magnetic. People notice when you're unshaken by delays or setbacks. It signals confidence, emotional maturity, and an inner strength that's undeniably attractive. Here's an example. Imagine you're in a meeting and someone is taking forever to make their point. Instead of interrupting or showing visible frustration, you sit quietly, listening intently. Not only does this reflect well on you, but it also creates a sense of respect and trust. Patience in moments like these can lead to better outcomes, stronger relationships, clearer communication, and even opportunities that might have been missed if you'd let impatience take the wheel. So take a moment to reflect. How do you handle waiting? Do you see it as wasted time or as an opportunity to practice grace under pressure? The next time you find yourself in a situation where patience is required, try this Stoic approach. Remind yourself that time is neutral and your reaction is the only thing that truly matters. You might just find that patience isn't just a virtue, it's a superpower. What if curiosity was the key to deeper connections? Think about it. When was the last time you truly leaned into a conversation, not to judge or respond, but to understand? The Stoics believed that curiosity wasn't just a trait of the intellectually restless. It was a tool for living a richer, more meaningful life. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." But mastery begins with understanding yourself, others, and the world around you. And that's where curiosity comes in. Curiosity, in the Stoic sense, isn't about prying into others' lives or seeking gossip. It's about approaching the world with an open mind, free from snap judgments. When you meet someone new, instead of categorizing them or assuming you already know their story, try asking questions. Listen not just to their words, but to the meaning behind them. This kind of curiosity transforms interactions. It makes you more approachable, more interesting, and yes, more attractive. People are drawn to those who show genuine interest in their thoughts and experiences. Let's take an example. Imagine you're at a social gathering and someone mentions a hobby you know nothing about. Instead of nodding politely and moving on, you ask them, "What got you into that?" Or what do you love most about it? Suddenly, the conversation shifts from small talk to something meaningful. You're not just exchanging pleasantries, you're building a connection. And here's the Stoic twist. This isn't just about making others feel valued. It's about expanding your own perspective, learning something new, and growing as a person. So, how often do you approach life with curiosity? Do you find yourself defaulting to judgment or assumption, or do you actively seek to understand? The next time you're in a conversation, try this Stoic practice. Pause, listen, and ask yourself, what can I learn here? You might be surprised at how much richer your interactions and your life become. Nothing is more appealing than being real. In a world where so many people wear masks, striving to fit in or impress others, authenticity stands out like a beacon. Stoicism teaches us to live in alignment with our true nature, to strip away the layers of pretense and reveal the core of who we are. Seneca once said, "The first step toward wisdom is admitting you don't know everything, and the second is being honest with yourself about who you are." This self-honesty is the foundation of authenticity, and it's what makes you irresistibly attractive. When you're authentic, you radiate confidence, not the kind of confidence that comes from external validation, but the kind that stems from knowing and accepting yourself fully. People are drawn to this because it's rare. Think about it. When someone speaks their truth without hesitation, when they own their flaws and strengths alike, it creates a sense of trust. They're not hiding, not pretending, not trying to be something they're not, and that openness invites others to do the same. Here's a simple example. Imagine you're in a conversation where someone admits they don't have all the answers, but they're willing to listen and learn. That vulnerability is magnetic. It shows they're secure enough in who they are to be real, even if it means revealing their imperfections. That's the kind of authenticity that builds deep, meaningful connections. So, how authentic are you in your daily life? Do you let people see the real you, or do you hold back out of fear of judgment? Take a moment to reflect on this. Stoicism reminds us that our worth isn't determined by others' opinions. It's rooted in how faithfully we live in alignment with our own values and nature. When you embrace that, you'll find that authenticity isn't just a way to live. It's a way to attract the kind of relationships and opportunities that truly matter. How can a shift in perspective change everything? Think about it. When you're stuck in the middle of a stressful situation, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, like the walls are closing in. But what if you could step back, even just mentally, and see the bigger picture? That's exactly what Stoicism teaches us to do. By practicing perspective taking, you can transform how you experience challenges, staying calm and grounded even when things feel chaotic. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we interpret and respond to it. Perspective is the key. When you zoom out and see your struggles as part of a larger narrative, they suddenly feel smaller, more manageable. Let's take a real-life example. Imagine you're stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. Your first instinct might be to panic, to let frustration take over. But what if instead you paused and asked yourself, will this matter in a week? A month, a year? Chances are it won't. That shift in perspective doesn't make the traffic disappear, but it does reduce the emotional weight of the moment. You're no longer trapped in the immediacy of the problem. You're seeing it from a higher vantage point. This Stoic practice isn't just about calming your nerves in the moment. It's also about cultivating an air of quiet confidence that others find incredibly attractive. Think about it. People are naturally drawn to those who remain composed under pressure, who don't get swept up in drama or overreact to setbacks. By mastering perspective taking, you not only protect your own peace of mind, but also project a sense of stability and strength that others admire. So here's a question for you. How do you view your current challenges? Are you caught up in the immediacy of the moment, or can you step back and see the bigger picture? The next time you feel overwhelmed, try this Stoic exercise. Pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, how will I look back on this situation in the future? You might be surprised at how quickly your perspective and your calm begins to shift. Boundaries are not walls, they're bridges to healthier relationships. Think about it. When you set clear boundaries, you're not shutting people out, you're inviting them to respect your inner peace. This is a core Stoic principle. Epictetus once said, "Guard your own mind vigilantly, for if you don't, someone else will." What he meant is this: your mental and emotional space is sacred, and it's your responsibility to protect it. Without boundaries, you leave yourself open to chaos, to the whims of others, and to losing sight of what truly matters, your own well-being. Now, let's make this practical. Imagine you're at work and a colleague constantly dumps their tasks on you, leaving you overwhelmed. You could say yes every time, but that only leads to resentment and burnout. Or you could set a boundary politely but firmly, letting them know what you can and cannot take on. This isn't selfish, it's self-respect. And here's the thing, people are drawn to those who respect themselves. When you set boundaries, you communicate that your time, energy, and peace are valuable. That's inherently attractive, but boundaries aren't just about saying no. They're also about creating space for what truly aligns with your values. Maybe it's carving out time for self-care, saying no to toxic relationships, or even limiting how much negativity you allow into your life. Every boundary you set is a declaration of your self-worth, and when others see that you value yourself, they'll value you too. So take a moment to reflect. Where in your life do you need stronger boundaries? Is it with your time, your energy, or your relationships? Remember, boundaries aren't about pushing people away, they're about creating the space you need to thrive. And when you thrive, you become a magnet for healthier, more meaningful connections. That's the power of Stoic boundaries. What if flexibility was your greatest strength? Imagine being the kind of person who not only navigates life's twists and turns with ease, but actually thrives in the face of uncertainty. This is the power of adaptability, a core Stoic principle that can make you effortlessly attractive. The Stoics believed that change is not only inevitable but also neutral. It's not good or bad, it's simply a fact of life. How you respond to it, however, determines whether it becomes an obstacle or an opportunity. Seneca once said, "Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant." In other words, those who embrace change with open arms are the ones who find success and fulfillment. Think about it. When you're adaptable, you're signaling to others that you're resilient, resourceful, and unshakable. These are qualities that naturally draw people to you. Whether it's a sudden career shift, a relationship challenge, or even a global crisis, your ability to stay calm and pivot shows that you're someone who can handle anything life throws your way. Take the example of a small business owner during a recession. While others panic and retreat, the adaptable entrepreneur sees an opportunity to innovate, maybe by shifting to an online model or diversifying their offerings. This kind of adaptability doesn't just ensure survival, it builds a reputation for being forward-thinking and dependable. People are drawn to that kind of energy because it radiates confidence and competence. So how do you handle unexpected changes? Do you resist them, clinging to the way things were? Or do you see them as a chance to grow and evolve? The Stoic approach encourages us to view change not as a threat but as a teacher. It's a reminder that life is dynamic and our strength lies in our ability to adapt. When you embody this mindset, you become someone others admire and want to be around, someone who doesn't just survive change but thrives in it. Forgiveness is the ultimate act of self-love. It's not about excusing someone else's behavior or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about releasing the emotional weight that resentment places on you. The Stoics understood this deeply. They saw forgiveness not as a weakness but as a strength, a way to reclaim your peace and move forward unburdened. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, holding onto anger only chains you to the person who wronged you. Forgiveness, on the other hand, sets you free. Think about it this way: when you forgive, you're not handing someone a free pass. You're choosing to no longer let their actions define your emotional state. This kind of emotional independence is incredibly attractive. It radiates confidence and calm, showing others that you're not easily shaken or controlled by external events. Forgiveness also has a ripple effect in relationships. For example, imagine a friend who unintentionally hurt you. By letting go of the grudge, you open the door to healing and rebuilding trust. The relationship becomes stronger because you've chosen understanding over bitterness. Now, take a moment to reflect. Is there someone in your life you've been holding a grudge against? Maybe it's a coworker, a family member, or even yourself. What would it feel like to release that resentment, even just a little? Stoic forgiveness doesn't mean you have to forget or reconcile. It simply means you choose to stop carrying the weight of anger. When you do, you'll find that the space it leaves behind is filled with something far more powerful: freedom. What drives you to be your best self? It's a question that cuts to the core of who we are and what we stand for. In Stoicism, purpose isn't just a nice to have. It's the compass that guides every decision, every action, and every moment of your life. When you live with intention, you radiate a kind of magnetism that draws people in. It's not about being flashy or trying to impress others. It's about being grounded in something bigger than yourself. As Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That's the essence of Stoic purpose, aligning your actions with your deepest values, so every step you take feels meaningful. Think about it. When you meet someone who is truly driven by a clear sense of purpose, there's something undeniably attractive about them. They're not swayed by every passing trend or distracted by trivial concerns. Instead, they move through life with a quiet confidence, knowing exactly what they stand for. This isn't just inspiring, it's contagious. Their clarity becomes a beacon, inviting others to reflect on their own lives and ask, "What am I here for?" Consider the example of someone who dedicates their time to a cause they're passionate about. Whether it's mentoring young people, creating art, or building a business that solves real problems. Their energy isn't just about achieving personal success, it's about contributing to something larger. That sense of purpose doesn't just make them more attractive, it creates a ripple effect, inspiring those around them to think more deeply about their own roles in the world. So here's a question to reflect on. What gives your life meaning? Is it your relationships, your work, your creativity, or something else entirely? Take a moment to consider how you can align your daily actions with that purpose. Because when you do, you'll find that not only does your life feel richer, but others will be drawn to the authenticity and direction you bring to everything you do. Preparation is the antidote to panic. When you take the time to anticipate challenges, you strip them of their power to overwhelm you. This is a core principle of Stoicism foresight. The Stoics believed that by mentally preparing for what could go wrong, you're not only less likely to be caught off guard, but you also exude a sense of calm that others find deeply attractive. It's not about being pessimistic or expecting the worst, it's about being ready. As Seneca once said, "The man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." Think about it. When someone remains unshaken in the face of chaos, it's magnetic. Whether it's a leader navigating a crisis or a friend handling a difficult situation, their ability to stay composed often comes down to preparation. They've already played out the scenarios in their mind, considered the obstacles, and planned their response. This isn't about controlling every outcome, it's about cultivating an inner resilience that allows you to adapt gracefully. Here's a practical example. Imagine you're about to give a presentation. Instead of worrying about what might go wrong, you've prepared thoroughly. You've anticipated potential questions, rehearsed your key points, and even thought about how to handle technical issues. When the moment arrives, you're not sweating or scrambling, you're calm, confident, and in control. That kind of presence is undeniably attractive. It shows foresight, competence, and a quiet strength that draws people in. So take a moment to reflect. How do you prepare for challenges? Do you face them head-on, or do they catch you by surprise? By adopting the Stoic practice of mental rehearsal, you can transform uncertainty into opportunity. Start small. Think about one area of your life where preparation could make a difference. What steps can you take today to build that sense of readiness? Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. And when you approach life with this mindset, you'll not only feel more in control, you'll radiate a calm confidence that others can't help but admire. What could you achieve with unwavering focus? Imagine being able to cut through the noise of life, to zero in on what truly matters, and to pursue it with unshakable determination. This is the essence of Stoic focus, a quality that not only transforms your life, but also makes you undeniably attractive to others. Why? Because clarity and determination are magnetic. They signal to the world that you know who you are, what you value, and where you're headed. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoic thinkers, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. This simple yet profound idea reminds us that focus isn't about controlling the chaos around us. It's about mastering our attention. When you concentrate on what's within your control, your actions, your decisions, your mindset, you radiate a sense of calm purpose. People notice, they're drawn to it. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who seemed completely in tune with their goals? Someone who didn't get bogged down by distractions or setbacks? That kind of focus is compelling. It's the kind of focus that leads to success, whether in relationships, careers, or personal growth. For example, consider an athlete training for the Olympics. They don't let minor injuries, criticism, or the pressure of competition derail them. Instead, they channel their energy into perfecting their craft. That laser-like focus not only helps them achieve their goals, but also inspires admiration from those around them. Now, take a moment to reflect. What distracts you from your goals? Is it social media, self-doubt, or the endless stream of opinions from others? Stoicism teaches us to identify these distractions and gently but firmly redirect our attention to what truly matters. When you do this consistently, you don't just become more productive, you become more attractive. People are naturally drawn to those who exude purpose and determination. The strength of focus isn't about being rigid or unyielding. It's about being deliberate. It's about choosing where to direct your energy and letting go of what doesn't serve you. And when you embody this principle, you'll find that others are inspired by your clarity and confidence. They'll want to follow your lead, not because you demand it, but because your focus shows them what's possible. So, where will you direct your attention today? Generosity is the mark of a truly attractive soul. It's not about grand gestures or material offerings. It's about the quiet, consistent act of giving without expecting anything in return. The Stoics believed that true generosity is rooted in selflessness, a way of living that aligns with our nature as social beings. As Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And part of that mastery lies in the ability to give freely, not because we seek recognition or reward, but because it reflects our inner strength and calm. Think about it. When someone gives without strings attached, it creates a magnetic energy. It's not about the size of the gift but the intention behind it. Stoic generosity is about offering your time, your attention, your presence even when it's inconvenient. It's about showing up for others in ways that matter, not because you have to, but because you choose to. This kind of selflessness radiates a quiet confidence that others can't help but notice. It's attractive because it's rare, and it's rare because it requires you to rise above your ego. Imagine a moment when someone went out of their way to help you without expecting anything in return. How did it make you feel? Connected, perhaps, or deeply seen? That's the power of generosity. It builds bridges between people, fostering trust and deepening relationships. The Stoics understood this. They saw generosity as a way to practice virtue, to live in harmony with others, and to cultivate a sense of inner peace. When you give freely, you're not just helping someone else, you're reinforcing your own values and strengthening your character. So, how can you bring more of this Stoic generosity into your life? Start small. It could be as simple as listening fully when someone speaks, offering a kind word, or lending a hand when it's needed. The key is to do it without expecting praise or recognition. Let your actions speak for themselves. Over time, you'll notice how this practice not only enhances your relationships, but also deepens your sense of fulfillment. After all, the most attractive people aren't those who seek to impress. They're the ones who leave a lasting impression through their quiet, consistent acts of kindness. What are you holding onto that's holding you back? It's a question worth sitting with, because so much of our stress and frustration comes from clinging to things we can't control: relationships, outcomes, even the opinions of others. Stoicism teaches us that true freedom, and with it, a magnetic sense of calm, comes from learning to let go. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "You suffer more in imagination than in reality." In other words, our attachment to how things should be often causes more pain than the reality itself. This isn't about giving up or being passive. It's about recognizing that some things are simply outside your control, and that's okay. When you release your grip on what you can't change, you create space for what you can influence. Think about it like this. Imagine holding a glass of water. If you clutch it tightly for hours, your hand will ache. But if you set it down, even for a moment, you feel relief. The glass hasn't changed. It's your relationship to it that shifts. Letting go doesn't mean the thing disappears. It means you stop letting it weigh you down. Now, consider how this applies to your own life. Maybe it's a grudge you've been carrying, a fear of failure, or even an expectation that's been draining your energy. When you let go, you're not just freeing yourself from that burden, you're also projecting a sense of ease and confidence that others can't help but notice. There's something deeply attractive about someone who isn't clinging to outcomes or seeking validation. They radiate a quiet strength, a kind of stoic calm that says, "I'm at peace with what is." So, what's one thing you need to release today? Is it a worry, a regret, or perhaps an old story you've been telling yourself? Take a moment to reflect on what's been holding you back, and then, like Seneca suggests, choose to drop the weight. You might just find that the less you carry, the lighter and more magnetic you become. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's acting despite it. This is the heart of Stoic philosophy when it comes to bravery. The Stoics believed fear wasn't something to avoid or suppress, but rather an opportunity to grow, to prove your strength, and to show your character. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, fear isn't a roadblock, it's the path itself. When you face it head-on, you don't just overcome the fear, you transform it into a tool for becoming stronger, more resilient, and yes, more attractive. Think about it, courage is magnetic. When someone sees you standing firm in the face of uncertainty or discomfort, it's inspiring. It signals to others that you're reliable, grounded, and capable, qualities that naturally draw people in. Imagine a moment when you've witnessed someone act with courage. Maybe it was a friend who spoke up in a difficult situation, or a colleague who took a bold step despite the risks. How did it make you feel about them? Chances are your respect for them grew and you found yourself drawn to their quiet strength. Now, let's bring this closer to home. What's a fear you've been avoiding? Maybe it's a conversation you've been putting off, a risk you're hesitant to take, or a challenge you've been sidestepping. The Stoics would say this is your moment, not to eliminate the fear, but to move forward anyway. Because when you do, you're not just conquering the fear, you're showing the world and yourself who you truly are. Courage isn't about being fearless, it's about being fearless enough to act, and that's where real attractiveness begins. What if patience was the key to deeper connections? In a world that often rushes us to react, to judge, or to demand immediate answers, the Stoic practice of patience stands out as a quiet, yet profoundly powerful way to build stronger, more meaningful relationships. Think about it. When you give someone the time and space to be themselves, to process their emotions, or to work through their challenges, you're not just being kind, you're showing a level of understanding that can transform how others see you. This isn't about waiting passively, it's about actively choosing to endure, to listen, and to resist the urge to control or rush things. As Epictetus once said, bear and forbear. In other words, endure the flaws of others and refrain from reacting impulsively. This simple yet profound advice reminds us that patience isn't weakness, it's strength in disguise. Let's take a moment to picture this in action. Imagine a close friend is going through a tough time and they're struggling to articulate their feelings. Instead of pushing them to open up or offering quick fixes, you give them the space to process at their own pace. You listen without interrupting, you show up without judgment, and you resist the urge to steer the conversation. Over time, this patience creates a bond of trust and respect. They don't just feel heard, they feel valued, and that's where the magic happens. When you practice patience, you become someone others naturally gravitate toward because you radiate calm and understanding in a world that often feels chaotic. Now, here's something to reflect on. How patient are you with others? Do you find yourself rushing conversations, jumping to conclusions, or getting frustrated when things don't go as planned? These are moments where Stoic patience can truly shine. It's about recognizing that everyone is on their own journey, with their own struggles and imperfections. By choosing patience, you're not just improving your relationships, you're cultivating an inner calm that makes you effortlessly attractive. And isn't that the kind of connection we all crave? Reflection is the mirror to your soul, a quiet space where you can see yourself clearly, free from the noise of the world. The Stoics understood this deeply, and they turned reflection into a daily practice, a ritual of self-examination that sharpened their self-awareness and, in turn, their ability to navigate life with grace and calm. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "Each day acquit yourself of yourself." What he meant was this: at the end of each day, take a moment to review your actions, thoughts, and emotions. Ask yourself, did I live in alignment with my values today? Did I act with integrity even when no one was watching? This kind of introspection isn't about self-criticism, it's about growth. It's about seeing where you stumbled so you can rise stronger tomorrow. Think about it. When you take the time to reflect, you're not just passively experiencing life, you're actively learning from it. Imagine someone who reacts impulsively to every challenge, never pausing to consider why they feel the way they do. Now, picture someone who steps back, reflects, and responds with intention. Which person would you find more attractive? The answer is clear. Reflection gives you that rare quality of being both grounded and dynamic, someone who knows themselves deeply and moves through the world with purpose. Here's a simple way to bring this into your life. Before you go to bed tonight, take 5 minutes to reflect on your day. Ask yourself 2 questions. What went well today and why? And what could I have done differently? This isn't about dwelling on mistakes, it's about learning from them. Over time, this practice will help you see patterns in your behavior, uncover hidden strengths, and identify areas where you can grow. And as you grow, you'll notice something remarkable. People are drawn to the calm, self-assured energy you radiate. It's not just about looking good, it's about being someone who feels good to be around. That's the power of Stoic reflection. It's not just a tool for self-improvement, it's a pathway to becoming effortlessly attractive. What if kindness was your superpower? Imagine walking through life with an ability that not only draws people to you but also leaves a lasting, positive impact on everyone you meet. This isn't some abstract idea, it's rooted in Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that kindness, far from being a weakness, is one of the most powerful tools we have for building meaningful connections and becoming truly attractive in the deepest sense. Marcus Aurelius once said, "What is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bee." In other words, when we act with kindness, we contribute to the well-being of others, and in doing so, we enrich our own lives. It's a ripple effect. Think about it. When someone shows you genuine kindness, how does it make you feel? Valued, seen, understood. That's the kind of energy that makes people want to be around you. Stoic kindness isn't about being overly polite or people-pleasing. It's about showing compassion because you recognize the shared humanity in others. It's about understanding that everyone is fighting their own battles, and a small act of kindness can be a lifeline. Here's an example. Imagine you're in a crowded coffee shop and the person behind the counter is clearly having a rough day. Maybe they're short with you or make a mistake with your order. The easy reaction is to get annoyed or frustrated. But what if instead you chose to respond with kindness? A simple, "No worries, it's been one of those days for me too," can completely shift the tone of the interaction. Suddenly, you're not just another customer, you're a human being connecting with another human being. That's the Stoic way. It's not about grand gestures, it's about the small, consistent acts of compassion that add up over time. So, here's a question to reflect on. How can you bring more kindness into your daily life? It doesn't have to be complicated. It could be as simple as holding the door for someone, offering a genuine compliment, or just listening when someone needs to vent. When you make kindness a habit, you'll notice something remarkable. People are naturally drawn to you. Not because you're trying to impress them, but because your calm, compassionate energy creates a space where others feel safe and appreciated. That's the magnetism of Stoic kindness. It's not just attractive, it's transformative. Routine is the foundation of a calm life. It's not just about filling your day with tasks. It's about creating a structure that aligns with your values and builds discipline. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." In other words, habits shape who we are. When you establish intentional routines, you're not just going through the motions, you're actively crafting a life of purpose and calm. Think about it. A well-structured day removes the chaos of decision fatigue. Instead of constantly reacting to whatever comes your way, you're guided by a plan that reflects your priorities. This kind of discipline isn't rigid or restrictive, it's freeing. It creates space for focus, reduces stress, and allows you to show up as your best self. And here's the thing, when you're calm and collected, people notice. There's an undeniable magnetism in someone who moves through their day with quiet confidence and consistency. Take mornings, for example. Many Stoics started their day with reflection, journaling, or meditation. These practices weren't just about self-improvement, they were about grounding themselves before stepping into the world. Imagine how different your day might feel if you began it with a moment of stillness, setting your intentions and preparing your mind for what's ahead. But it's not just about the morning. A Stoic routine extends throughout the day, with moments built in to pause, reflect, and realign. Maybe it's a midday walk to clear your head or an evening review of your actions. These small habits practiced consistently compound over time. They help you stay centered even when life gets hectic. So, what about your routine? Does it reflect the calm and discipline you want to embody? Take a moment to consider how you structure your day. Are there areas where you could introduce more intention? Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Small, consistent changes can have a profound impact on how you feel and how you're perceived by others. A life built on thoughtful routines is a life that exudes calm, and that kind of calm is irresistibly attractive. What if balance was the key to lasting happiness? Not just fleeting joy, but a deep, enduring sense of fulfillment. The Stoics believed that true happiness comes from moderation, finding harmony in all areas of life. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, put it this way: "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." In other words, chasing extremes, whether it's excess wealth, endless pleasure, or even overworking, leads to imbalance, and imbalance creates dissatisfaction. Think about it. When you're in a state of balance, you radiate calm. You're not pulled in 100 directions by overindulgence or deprivation. Instead, you're grounded, centered, and present. This kind of equilibrium is magnetic. People are drawn to those who seem unshaken by life's ups and downs. It's not about being perfect or never facing challenges. It's about how you handle those challenges with grace and poise. Consider this example. Imagine two people at a party. One is constantly checking their phone, jumping from conversation to conversation, and chasing the next thrill. The other is fully present, engaged, and content simply being there. Who do you think leaves a stronger impression? The second person, of course, because they embody balance. They're not desperate for attention or validation. They're at ease with themselves, and that ease is inherently attractive. Now, take a moment to reflect. Where in your life could you use more balance? Is it in your work, your relationships, or even your daily habits? The Stoics teach us that balance isn't about perfection, it's about awareness. It's recognizing when we're leaning too far in one direction and gently guiding ourselves back to center. And when you do that, you don't just become more attractive to others, you cultivate a sense of inner peace that shines through in everything you do. So, what does it all come down to? At its core, Stoicism teaches us that true attractiveness isn't about outer appearances or fleeting charm. It's about the quiet confidence that comes from mastering your inner world. We've explored how principles like self-discipline, emotional resilience, and a focus on what you can control create a magnetism that's both undeniable and effortless. It's not about hiding your emotions or pretending to be unaffected by life's challenges. Instead, it's about understanding your feelings, channeling them wisely, and responding with clarity and purpose. This is the essence of Stoic Calm, a state of being that radiates strength and composure, drawing others to you naturally. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's greatest voices, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. This is the heart of what we've been discussing. Inner peace isn't the absence of chaos, it's the ability to remain steady within it. When you cultivate this kind of calm, you become someone others admire and trust, not because you're flawless, but because you're grounded in who you are. Now think about your own life. Where can you start applying these principles? Maybe it's in how you handle stress at work, or how you respond to a disagreement with a loved one. Small, consistent steps toward emotional mastery can transform not just how others see you, but how you see yourself. If this resonates with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. How do you plan to bring Stoic calm into your daily life? Share your ideas in the comments below. Let's learn and grow together. And if you found this helpful, consider subscribing for more insights on living with purpose and presence. Thank you for being here, and remember, the journey to becoming effortlessly attractive starts within. Keep going.